Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Lazouzi from easymedicaldevice.com. And today we will try to explain to you how to do risk management, but specifically for software. So we'll try to explain to you how risk management for software is done. And for that, I have with me a specialist of risks, which is Bijan Elahi, who is calling us from the US, from Florida. So Bijan, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be here, Munir.
Great. Thanks for coming. I know that, you are really doing a lot of things on risk management. So it's mainly something, a big topic for you. We talk also about the book that you have also written on that. So I'll talk about that later. But first, maybe for people that don't know you, can you just make an introduction of yourself?
Yes. My name is Bijan Elahi. I have been in the medical device industry for over 30 years. And before that, I worked at NASA on the Space Shuttle. So I started the aerospace business. And mostly I joined the medical device industry because aerospace was about 40 years ahead in terms of experience. If we wanted some help. I've been a medical device developer myself, developed many medical devices, including class 3 implantable pulse generators, like deep brain stimulators. And for the past several years, I've focused my work on teaching because risk management has always been my core competency, both from aerospace and the medical device industry. And so several years ago, my colleagues wanted me to help them. And so I started teaching small courses and then gradually grew it bigger and bigger and teaching universities. And then I wrote a book. And so now that's pretty much all I do. I teach risk management for medical devices, and I advise people on that.
Great. So as we said about risk management, so risk management is really a big topic. There are many branches, if I can say that, we can see on it. We wanted really to go specifically on risk management for software. So that's why, mainly because also software is starting to be a booming area within the medical device field. So we have a lot of companies that are now starting to develop some software. Software are also having a higher classification now within the European Union for when it's for medical devices. So I think this kind of topic can be really interesting for a lot of people that are now coming and asking, okay, how should I do risk management, not for hardware, but for software? So Bijan, as you know mainly how risk management is done also for software, what are the challenges that you see about this field, also the software field and the risk management field?
Well, specifically, risk management for software can be looked at in two different areas. Either software as embedded software in a medical device, which is sometimes called SIMD, or software as a medical device, or SAMD. But in either case, they are governed by ISO 14971, particularly with respect to SAMDs, because SAMDs are also medical devices. And I know that was an area of focus that you wanted to talk about. Some of the main challenges with SAMDs is that because they are nimble, they're small software packages, they can be developed rapidly. And this rapidity is both an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that all these frequent changes means that your risk management has to be updated frequently. Unlike hardware, which is a slow process, it takes years. Software can maybe within a week or two, you can have another version and another version. So risk management becomes a challenge. Another thing about software, particularly SAMD, is the environment in which the software operates. So SAMDs operate on hardware and software environment. So because it's a medical device, it's supposed to, as an SAMD, it has to operate on a general purpose computing platform. And this could be a smartphone or another computer. And in this domain, you have software like an operating system, which is the context in which the SAMD operates, and also you have hardware, so then this microprocessor, etc. And then you have also other applications that are surrounding you that are operating the same operating system at the same time. So this is one of the challenges for the SAMDs, is that it's not just your software. It's the operating system can shift and change. The hardware can change. you need to continue to be safe. Even the other medical applications that are present with you, they could affect you. This is one of the challenges with the risk management for SIMDs. SIMDs, of course, it's different because then you have total control of your hardware and software. So that's a bit easier.
So in terms of those, as you said, those configurations that you just mentioned, so software with the hardware, also with the OS, with all those things. So I suppose risk management is really a big advantage if you do it right then.
Oh, yeah. So you have to really pay attention to safety risk management from the beginning. Otherwise, you may end up getting yourself into a difficult situation where your device is not safe and you may cause harm to other people. But some of the advantages that software has is that it's a low-cost design changes. Hardware changes take time and are more expensive, whereas software changes, you can maybe make a quick edit and create a new version in one day. So this is an advantage, but of course it creates a challenge too, because now you have to update your risk management. Another advantage is the software has is the ability to do rapid mass distribution. So if you're for field corrective actions, let's say you discover that there was a bug in your software that could cause harm to your patients, and you want to update it. Instead of having to recall and send back a product, you can rapidly update your software, of course, provided that your users have allowed you to do push and update automatically. But this can be an advantage for you. Other advantages are you can have the ability to monitor how your software is being used. You can track to see other faults that are being created, are your users making mistakes, and these things can help teach you on how to make your software better. So these are the advantages of software and SIMDs.
So in terms of risks, then when we are looking at a hardware device or something that is more physical, so we are looking, for example, for infections. We are looking for a sterilization process. We are looking for all those things. So what are the main drivers, if I can say, when we are specifically looking at software as medical devices here in terms of risk management?
Yeah, software itself is not a hazard because software does not activate any physical thing. But software, especially, well, in two cases, as an SIMD, software can drive the hardware, and then the hardware can do the harm to the patient. But software as a SIMD, it provides information. It doesn't do anything by itself. So it provides maybe advisory services to a clinician. Maybe you're doing a cancer detection. So you send an image, and your software analyzes this image and advises the physician to look at a particular area because there may be a cancerous tumor. Well, what if the software made a mistake and did not missed basically a cancerous tumor? Well, then it can cause harm that way. So for software, the harm is usually indirect. It's not direct.
So when we say indirect, means mainly we have to, I suppose that for the SIMD, we have to understand all the functionality and all the inputs and outputs for each of those functionality. And then from there, we have to identify what are the arms of each of those functionality, directly. So, but it's, I suppose it's also a lot of brainstorming here. When we have, for example, a device that is for the first time on the market, we have no feedback at all. So at certain point, we will not be able to catch up all the risks that are available there.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point that you brought up. When you are releasing a software for the first time, you don't know how it's going to be used, and users can make errors. And when I said indirect, meaning that there needs to be an intermediary to cause harm to the patient, like a physician or another medical device that takes information from your SIMD and then takes action. So one of the things that I advise people is to make sure not to lose sight of usability engineering, because your devices, SIMDs, interact with human beings. The human being needs to be able to understand the information that you provided and then be able to give you the information in a way that is correct. maybe sometimes people think of SAMDs as just software and then the usability engineering is a side thought, but it really is not, because SAMD is a medical device. It's subject to IEC 62366. So you have to use formative studies, summative studies, make sure the information that you collect and disseminate are understandable and not confusing to your users, so you don't cause harm to your patients.
Yeah, exactly. And so you maybe have some kind of experience in terms of this risk management for manufacturers. So what are some of those pitfalls that mainly they are always, those issues that they always have when they are starting to work with SAMD and also risk management? So something that is common for those companies.
Yeah, one of the main pitfalls is complacency. So, one of the techniques that a lot of SAMD manufacturers use is to reduce their risk to the manufacturer is to put the clinician in the loop. And so they say, we're going to provide you an output, but you, Mr. Clinician, you have to validate that this is right. So if I'm giving you something very wrong, you should tell me this is wrong, ignore it, and don't use it, right? So this is the way to control risk. But think about the situation when your software is really good. It's giving good answers all the time. What happens is that the clinician gradually becomes habituated and over-reliant on it. So when there is a mistake, and mistakes will happen, then your clinician will not be paying attention and will just blindly accept the output of the SAMD. This happens, this is human psychology. It happens all the time. You may have heard about the Tesla driver that was sleeping behind the wheel, right? Now, if the autopilot is working well, 90% of the time they say, well, I can trust it. I go take a nap and then get into a car crash. So this is one of the pitfalls.
No, I completely rely on that, and I completely understand. And yeah, true. As soon as you have a software and it's working very well, if there is one issue, you will maybe not catch it because you think, oh, it's fine, it's working well. So, and I know that some companies, software companies, they are putting some disclosure saying any of the data that you will receive should be verified by you, or otherwise they will not be it should not be accepted, etc. And if you miss to do that, it's your responsibility, not our responsibility. I mean, those kind of disclosure to say we are not responsible for anything, you are responsible for everything. So it's mainly also the kind of issue that can happen. So have you seen a lot of issues like that also from the real life, I can say, for medical devices, or it's something that is really rare for the moment?
Well, I can't tell you I have had personal experience with this, but I know that it happens, and it happens even with hardware devices. But a lot of times, human beings, this is just the way our brains work. We want to take the easy path, and if the device looks trustworthy, we start trusting it, and then pretty soon we just stop using our own judgment and just go with it.
So you remember when you discussed about creating risk management? So it's something that I think is critical so that we can catch up those issues earlier. When we said that, we have to identify the potential harms or all those things. So mainly at a certain point to identify all this, you have to have some people, if I can say, start to do the job. So is the quality guy the only guy that can do that, or should we have other people on the team that can do this exercise of identifying the harm, identifying the risks, and then starting to work on that?
Oh, yeah, definitely not just the quality person. Risk management is a team activity. And really, if you ask me who should own risk management, I would say systems engineering. Systems engineering, of course, has the broad knowledge of how the system works, its environment, its interactions with the humans. And then besides that, your quality, your medical safety, clinicians, all these people need to work together. And of course, in the case of software engineers too. So they need to work together. You can't just rely on the quality people. It happens that in most companies that I've worked at, quality department is the one that becomes the owner of risk management. But I think really engineering, particularly systems engineering, should be the one that should own it. Not that they're the only person that does it, but they should own it and drive it.
Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com. It's clear, and I have had this experience of companies that says, "Oh, you own the risk management," mainly because first it's like an ISO standard that has to be followed, so they think, "Oh, we know better than maybe the software engineers or whoever what exactly should be provided." So at the end, say, "Oh, you will own it, you will take care of it, and if there is any question, you can ask us, and we can help you to make it better." But for them, it's like a document that is belonging to the quality department. So good to hear that it's not the best practice.
That's right. Yeah.
And in terms of risks, so as we talked about software as medical devices, so we know that, as we said, so we have a growing field now with a lot of applications, mobile applications, software that are used on machines without, if I can say, maybe a connection direct with a medical device. So there are also a lot of questions in terms of cyber security, which is for me like a risk also for that should be also evaluated on some risk. And I have also some notified bodies that say, "Oh, you forgot to include some cyber security risk on your risk management." So what are, if I can say, is cybersecurity risks for software something new? Is it something that has changed over the time, or is it something that it has a certain standard, or what exactly are the rules now to execute risk management specifically for cybersecurity?
Right. Cybersecurity is not something new. Of course, it's been growing. The threat of cybersecurity attacks has been growing over the past few years. And with respect to SAMDs, I feel that they are most vulnerable because SAMDs are not in a controlled space where the manufacturer controls like a hardware space. They are out there in general computing platforms. There are other software around them that would affect them. So to me, SAMDs are more vulnerable with respect to cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity risk management is not the same thing as safety risk management. There is an overlap, but they're not the same thing. A cybersecurity attack could attack the integrity of a medical device, could attack its availability, could attack the functionality of it. And in those cases, it could actually create safety risks to patients. The fact, and by the way, not all cybersecurity attacks are deliberate. They're not always hacks. It could be an attack unintentional by another software application that is sitting next to your software application in the general purpose computing environment, and they maybe overwrite some of your data. It's not intended, but it can happen, and then that could have a safety effect. So I think cybersecurity risk should be a more important area of attention for SAMDs in particular. Yeah.
And
you asked what standards? Yes.
Yeah,
standards. Yeah. And the most prominent ones right now are AE TIR 57, which was released in 2016. This is about medical device security risk management. And then there is AE TIR 97, which was released in 2019. And this one is about more post-market risk management. And of course, FDA has some guidances on cybersecurity risk control too.
And I suppose that people that have to execute those standards or look at cybersecurity risks should be like software developers or people that have really a good knowledge of those risks and what kind of thing that they should do to avoid those risks. Because we have the part where we are identifying the risks, but we have also the part where we are mitigating the risk. So we have to have also some people that are really specialists on that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There are people who are specialized in cybersecurity risk management. I work with them. We help each other, but we do different kinds of work. They're more interested in the availability, the integrity of the software and the devices, and I'm more interested in preventing harm to their patients. For example, if you lose some private health information, it may be embarrassing to a patient, but it doesn't physically harm them. So they are trying to protect that, and I'm looking at it from a safety perspective.
Okay, and in terms of risk, so as we say, so we have this standard, the ISO 14971, that is mainly the big standard for the risk management. First, is it something that is also accepted because as you are in the US? So is it something that's accepted only? In a certain country, or US is also recognizing ISO 14971 for for that? Because in Europe we have that as a harmonized standard, but is it also harmonized in the US? Is it like recognized in the US?
It is a recognized standard. The 2019 version of ISO 14971 is a recognized standard by the FDA, but it's not a US standard. It's a global standard, and I think it's a very good one. ISO 14971 applies to all medical devices, including SAMDs. Yeah. So, and by the way, because we're talking about software, let's not forget about IEC 62304. That's
exactly.
also another.
Exactly. Yeah. This is this one plus, as we said, also the other one, the IEC 62366 for the usability. So there are really a bunch of software that are global and should be used also. But yeah, there are some standards that are really software specific, and this is mainly
correct
something to look at. When we look now at the ISO 14971, for example, we say that we have first to do some kind of define what are the policy for the risk. We have to define what are the potential harms, what are the analysis of those harms to find some mitigation, etc., those kind of things. So when we are, I mean, for the majority of the people that are making a risk management, what they are finding as a methodology to do that is the FMEA, so DFMEA or PFMEA, etc. So is this something that is recommended by the standard, or is this, or we can have the choice and do whatever we want and we can use whatever method possible?
Yeah, ISO 14971 does not require you to do FMEAs. However, FMEAs is one of the techniques that ISO 14971 suggests, FMEA, but it doesn't say you have to do it. So you can use different techniques. But practically speaking, almost every medical device company I've run across uses FMEA. So I'd say it's a de facto requirement, even though it's not officially required. And then for software, it is design FMEA, but when we apply DFMEA to software, we call it software FMEA. Yeah.
And maybe, yeah, is FMEA also adapted to software, or is there maybe another methodology that is existing that is maybe more adapted to software, or FMEA is really something that can work for software also?
Yeah, FMEA works for software. One thing I point out to is that failure of software is not the same as the failure of hardware, even though we call them both failures. Software doesn't fatigue, doesn't wear out, whereas hardware does. However, software can also fail to meet its objective, can fail to perform a function, and we call that failure. It's not the same thing as hardware failure causes, but we can still apply FMEA to software. We just call it software FMEA.
Okay, no, great. I mean, yeah, we have DFMEA for design FMEA, PFMEA for process FMEA. Then I suppose they will create a lot of UFMEA for user FMEA. So they are creating a lot of small things just to distinguish between the different kind of risk, which is great because then you are really specifically having some risk for a specific area. But yeah, it's really great here.
Yes.
In terms of this kind of ISO 14971. Who do you recommend to be trained? Because you are training people also on that, and you have also your book on this. So, who are the best people, if I can say, or people with which prerequisites they can come to get trained for this ISO 14971, for example?
Well, I teach a number of courses. There's an introductory course that means you don't have any prerequisite. You can just come with knowing nothing, just learn the basics. But then there are advanced courses as well. There's a course on failure modes and effects analysis that teaches you how to do this particular technique. Also, there are other techniques like fault tree analysis. As far as who should be trained, I think people who are going to do the work of risk management those people should be trained. There are people who are reviewers. They are not actually doers, but they can also benefit from the training because if they're going to review somebody's FMEA, if they know what an FMEA is and how it works, it's better for them to be able to review it. So in my classes, I generally have the engineers and quality and engineering groups, mechanical, electrical, software, etc., usability engineers, they take my classes. But also people from quality department, quite a few of them take my classes because the quality people a lot of times are the reviewers of the work that the engineers do. So they both need to understand it.
Exactly. And when you look at the ISO 14971, it says at the beginning that it should be used only or should be only train people that can use that. So you have also to show some training for that. So it's really important to get trained for this kind of standard. Yeah.
Right. And this is a requirement of ISO 14971 is the competency. People that do the work of risk management should be competent in doing that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Lastly, in terms of all what we discussed, I think, we had really a lot of great information here. What would you give as an advice or a good practice for those that are listening today on how to execute all those all the risk management for their company, or maybe to get trained, as you mentioned? So is there some kind of good practices that you maybe recommend to people when they are coming to you, say, oh, what should I improve or what should I do for the risk management?
Yeah, again, specifically talking about SAMDs, but in general for medical devices, it's best to start designing your medical devices with safety in mind. Okay. It is a lot more difficult and more expensive if you don't do that and you finish doing your design and they say, what are we going to do? It's not safe. Because especially for software, for all companies, all startup companies, let's say, they start with the idea of designing functionality. And that's enticing because we get paid for functionality, right? The safety is not what people pay money for. People pay money for functionality and they expect safety. So one of the things is about software in particular is that it is exciting because you can get a quick win. Software engineers that want to get coding right away and make it work, and it's pretty exciting. But they should maybe control their enthusiasm and engineer, don't just code, but engineer, meaning that do the systems engineering, concept development, voice of customer, usability engineering, do all these things, all with the knowledge that you want this device to be safe from the beginning. It's much cheaper and easier and faster if you do that. So that's one bit of advice that I can give you.
No, it's great. And what is important, and I had that experience also, when we are doing those mitigation of risks, there is 3 levels of mitigation. There is a design level, there is the alert level, and then there is the information that will be provided on the instruction for us. And we have at certain point a possibility to do a design change if we had identified this issue really in advance. But when we have some companies that are doing risk management really at the end when the device is ready to be, if I can say, shipped, and then, we missed the risk management documentation, and there we are identifying the risk and say, this you should have made the design change for that. This you should have put an alert on your software. But at the end, they are using the last mitigation, which is mainly to inform the user to not do this or to not do that, or to avoid this or to avoid that. So, which is mainly the poorest mitigation.
That's right.
For that. So.
That's right. Yeah.
So, Bijan, thank you for all this information. I think, it's really important for people to understand that software is also an area where risk management has to be done. As you've said, so you are providing some services. So, what kind of service? Why people should contact you, and what kind of service you can provide to them?
My services are in 2 areas, mainly teaching and then also advising. I teach 8 courses in medical device risk management. They range from knowledge courses, which start from an introductory course to advanced courses. And then I also teach skills courses, such as failure modes and effects analysis and fault tree analysis. These courses are also all visible on my website. I have a website called medtechsafety.com. And I have trained over 8,000 people worldwide, and quite good results too. I like to teach practical information and also make learning fun. So it's both enjoyable and knowledge and learning.
And can you tell us more about your book? Because you have also a book. I think it's a 2nd edition. So I think it's important to also mention that.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
You have a good material that can be also helpful for people.
Yes, I've written a book called Medical Device Risk Management, and it's published by Elsevier Publishing in London. It's in its 2nd edition. It is quite a popular book. My publisher tells me it's their bestseller. I like the book myself, actually.
No,
It's
I know your book because I see it many places. People are talking also about that. So yeah, I really recommend people to have a look at this book if you are really wanting to learn and understand more about risk management for medical devices. Yeah, I mean, I saw also, and for people that want to look at that, I saw also a preview that is existing with the first chapter, so you can also see that and check if the content with the summary is also interesting for you. So I think it can be great. I will try to put all those information on the show notes so that yeah, you can but you can also reach out directly to Bijan if you have any question. I suppose you are also on LinkedIn. People can reach out to you on LinkedIn directly.
I'm sure. Yeah, just type my name in LinkedIn. You'll find my profile, and you can contact me through LinkedIn or email me or my website. Many ways to contact me.
Great, great. Great to hear that. So Bijan, really, it was a pleasure to have you. Thanks for all the information you provided, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you, Munir. You too. Bye-bye.